This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN.Network. And joining me right now is Ricky Wright. He is the co-founder and CEO of the Alkaline Water Company. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is WTER on both NASDAQ and the CSE. Ricky, thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
Hey, Robert. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you taking the time to tell us a little bit more about the Alkaline story. So let's dig right in. You know, this is our first time doing an interview together. So do you mind giving us a quick overview and history of the company, and then we'll go from there?
Yeah, sure. I co-founded this thing about 6 years ago, and we went into this business pretty much eyes wide open. I have a very unique business model: low people, low capital, annuity, cash flow margins. Nothing happens without a sale. But, one of the things that you need is, access, benefit, capability, and demand. And demand is key to getting those sales done. And so we knew, 6 years ago that there was a niche for alkaline water. And we saw the trend, the trend always is your friend. And we saw that, you had Tom Brady, you had Kate Hudson, you had all these celebrities that were talking about the alkaline diet. And at the time, there was nobody that was even using alkaline either in food or beverage. And we thought, okay, this is a good opportunity to go after that. We hired a guy to create a water that would taste a lot like Fiji. Because 6 years ago, Fiji was the #1 tasting water in the world, at least on the surveys. And so, when we developed this thing, we've now gone to a smooth hydration, kind of as our model. We trademarked that a couple of years ago. And it tastes that way. It just tastes smooth. It's a great tasting product. I'm a former restaurateur, and so everything we do, from the flavors to the CBD, I'm doing all the shameless plugs, to the CBD, to whatever we do, it's always about the flavor. I never understood how people could develop a consumer product that was going in people's mouths and not have that their #1 attribute, is how good it tastes. And so we've created, I think, the best tasting water on the planet. We started in the gallon, so we actually are the #1 selling, all the shameless plugs, the #1 selling bulk water in the country. We actually started that in the enhanced water space. Before there was us, you could only buy them in single serve. And so that's really what happened, and right time, right place. And the #1 thing I did is I hired a guy named Frank Chessman, the world's greatest salesman, and of course, the rest is history.
I mean, is he the world's greatest salesman, or you? I mean, look at you. You just showed every single product you got just now. I mean, come on. Give yourself a little credit here, okay? So I bet you already alluded to this a little bit, but I want to ask again. What would you say makes the company unique and different compared to some of your peers out there? Because, I mean, there's now, I would assume, a few competitors that have popped up since this trend has now become followed by all these different celebrities and whatnot.
Yeah, so, alkaline water is going to be $1 billion industry in the next couple of years. I think 1.2 billion. Beverage Marketing Corp, I think, has that out in like 2 or 3 years from now. So it's a big, big industry now. It's a big, big category within the enhanced water space. What really makes us, unique is a couple of things. My business model, for one, low people. So we do about $2 million of revenue or more per employee at the alkaline water side. Now, this doesn't count the CBD group because that's brand new, but in the alkaline water group. And as a result of that, we don't have a lot of CapEx. We go direct to store. We don't use DSD. So one of the things that we did differently than everybody else is that, we've spent about $40 million getting to 40 million, 150 million in sales now, right? Total since we started this thing. Most companies to hit that would spend maybe 300 million to get there. So we just developed a different business model, and we found a niche that needed something, and we went after it and exploited it. The one huge thing that we did was we trademarked Alkaline 88, so it's actually in our name. And so I believe in something called identifying branding. And so, I literally went to my brander and said, I want to be the 5-hour energy of the alkaline water space. And I called my brother, who was an early investor, with me, and I said, Jimmy, I'm going to name a water Alkaline 88. He goes, why the F would you name a water after a battery? And that was 6 years ago. And, obviously we made the right choice, and we caught the trend.
Got it. So tell me a little bit more about the alkaline water space in particular, and what makes your product line different than some of the other ones that are out there?
Okay, that's an easy one for me to answer. We use an ionization process. So, we also trademark ionized H2O. And we also have trademarked, and I'd love to show it off. I don't know if you can see it on, but this little clean beverage mark, okay? You really can't see it there, but, we only use 2 ingredients. We use pink Himalayan rock salt and purified water, and that's it. We use an ionization process. It's low sodium, but that combination gives us a distinct taste. If you go look at my competitors today, every one of them will have this much in ingredients, and some of those you and I won't even be able to pronounce. And so a lot of them use buffers, okay, and we use none of that. So I like to say we have the cleanest beverages out there. We went right after the organic, health food, health conscious sector, and everything we do has that in mind. Okay, we want a consumer to pick it up, love the taste, but also be comfortable with it putting in their body.
And then, speak to this real quickly. What are some of the I know you don't want to make any necessarily health claims or anything like that, but what makes alkaline water better than, just normal water that I get from Arrowhead or something?
Okay, so that's another really, really good question. Yes, we will make no health claims. My bad answer is talk to your health professional. But there's anecdotal evidence of, helping with gout. And, there are 2 peer-reviewed studies on acid reflux, both, by the way, using an 8.8 pH, which, if you're me, you gotta love, right? Both studies had that. But the big thing is, and you go to the NBA locker rooms, you go to any of the locker rooms in any of the professional sports, you're going to find that they're drinking alkaline water almost exclusively, because an ionization process, there's another study out there that shows that you get 88% more hydration. Oh, another lucky number. And that's the key. That ionization allows you to hydrate better. And there's a study done a couple of years ago that said women particularly are 70% underhydrated. And so alkaline water, it'll help them get rid of the wrinkles, it'll help their brain work better, and it'll help them flush, and they'll get skinnier. So if the woman's going to be prettier, skinnier, and smarter, I knew I had a winner 6 years ago when that study first came out.
Got it. All right. So the company actually just reported its fiscal Q4 2020 on June 17th. Can you describe the operational highlights that led to, and I quote here, revenue of approximately $12 million, which was up 51% over the prior year and represents revenue growth of 42% over fiscal Q3, end quote?
Yeah, no, there's a couple of different drivers. Obviously, one of the things that we did, and we had the greatest ever taste testing in this company's history, was that COVID hit, and one of the things that we do is we have 8 different co-packers around the country, and that was part of the business model, keeping it low capital and making it a variable cost model. And so what that allowed us to do, we were able to ramp up when our competitors weren't. So I can remember getting phone calls and saying, "Oh, Ricky, you're the only water on the shelf. You can't even sell during a crisis." And it's like, dude, we were the only water to deliver that day. Because, the other guys, the big guys, they can't make their machines running faster. And they're already running flat out for summer production, right? So when it hit, they got rid of their inventory that they had built for summer, and then they were capped. Where we went, and I literally, and thank God I have a wonderful, you hear me knock on wood, I have a wonderful system here. I mean, I brought almost all my supply chains to the U.S. 2 years ago when the tariff went on. So I had very short supply chains, and I was able to literally double production overnight. And I had everybody help me, and they all came to my aid. And so what really happened is we were able to double our production, take advantage of that. But the most important thing that came out of that is that I was so mad when they only limited 1 per household. I'm like, man, I got this huge opportunity I can produce. What are you doing to me, Kroger and Walmart, 1 per household? But what that really happened in hindsight is that we had 30 to 40% more people taste the water than ever before. And I did a study 2 years ago that shows that absent of all things Fiji, we can make the claim that we are the #1 most loyal drinkers in the country. It's a pretty cool place to be.
Gotcha. And, I saw that your fiscal first quarter just ended. I guess it was last, what was it?
A couple days ago.
Yeah, it was a couple days ago, right? So, so how are we looking, from what you can tell us, how are we looking thus far for Q1?
I made that announcement earlier too. We will have another record quarter. Absolutely, unequivocally. Where that ended up, we still wait for some bill of ladings and some things that get processed, went through the system here. But I'm very confident we had another record quarter, and I'm very confident that we'll do really well this year. We've got a bunch of what I would call catalysts for this company. One is, you can go look at the Nielsen reports, the last 5 4-week reports. There have been 2 of us in the entire country that are growing double digits, each one of those reports, in the top 10 brands. And it was us, and it was a brand, and I don't really want to tell their name, but it's a hint of, the hint flavored waters. And so we developed a flavored water to go right after that marketplace. They've been the fastest growing water in the enhanced space forever, and we think that we have a superior tasting water. This water was developed, with my restaurateurness in mind, and it clears the palate. So if you're drinking some of the other ones, the only thing I don't want to taste and keep in the back of my mouth is a big heavy cap. I don't want to taste your water. I don't want to continue to taste it 20 minutes later. So this one, when it clears your mouth, surprisingly, we developed it so it clears on this side of the mouth, and so you want to taste another drink. It's the same technique that Lay's did when they said that you can't eat just one. It clears the palate, and if you want to taste it again, you got to take another drink of it. And we make great tasting water, spa water. Our website says, bring the spa experience to your home.
So I also want to ask real quick about the, what it says on your hat, the CBD line, the A88 CBD. That's what it's called?
Yeah,
right?
That's it. Then you can go online and buy it today. The CBD line, again, going back to we're not looking to create demand. We want demand in the marketplace already. We know demand is super growing for flavored water. We know the demand is super growing for CBD. Okay. The key here was to develop a product that was better than everybody else's. We don't have a white labeled product. I think that's the biggest distinction. We just had a huge review done, and one of the things they love most about us is we use a product called C10, which gives you faster absorption, okay, and greater efficacy relative to the intake. And we'll actually have a PK study on that hopefully in the next 2 weeks, which will now be able to make actual claims relative to our product versus the rest of the marketplace.
So you brought this up at the very beginning. You said that in your past life you were a restaurateur. Tell us a little bit more about your background that led to Alkaline Water.
Okay, so I started with R3 Institute back in '78, but I'm dyslexic, so they never let me do a return. They made me a research expert. I was lucky enough to become a regional director at Ernst & Young years later, and then I became an entrepreneur. And blessed enough to retire in my 30s, my first time. My brother and I invented something that people use every day. Kind of cool. We invented the first prescription drug card that wasn't tied to an insurance company. So he's the genius of the family. But we've been business partners ever since, and so we've always looked for things to do together. And I've always run them, and he's always helped me with the capital. So, and then I met a group of guys out of Canada, my chairman and his group, Aaron Kay, and it's super to have guys support you. So we've never really, like a lot of small caps, done bad deals, and we've always had ready capital available to us through their network. So it's really been a good relationship.
Very good. All right. So then you already alluded to this a little bit, but I wanted to kind of get the full picture. From what you can tell us, what would you say are some of the company's value catalysts now moving forward?
So there's basically, we're going to open up the Northeast and the convenience stores. I hired a guy out of Ascension to do that for me. This is obviously huge. And and then this one's driving, and I'm just talking water for a second. This is driving because there are people looking for sustainability issues. Okay. And we're going to get into the hospitality industry because there's not a park, there's not a airport, there's not a hospital, there's not a university that want plastic anymore. And so this is a huge driver for. We got about 300,000 or 400,000 of these already in the marketplace. And I see hospitality is huge for us this year. And then as I alluded to earlier, I think by the second and third quarter, or third and fourth quarter, which ours ends in March, you'll see that we're having a huge business in the CBD arena. And the other thing that happened is that there has been some change in consumer buying habits, and we did pivot immediately into developing a new e-commerce site. So both our sites are full e-commerce now.
So with that, Ricky, where can my audience go and find everything they need to know about the Alkaline Water Company? Everything you need to know really is on our website.
We have a great investor website, and you can see the amount of progress. One thing I can tell you is if you go through and look at all our press releases, we don't press release until it's real news. so we don't hype anything, but you'll see that I don't think there's a promise to my shareholder base. I can't always time it because obviously, hospitality is supposed to be in the spring, but COVID kind of killed us there, but it's coming now. I can't time it, but I can tell you we've always executed against plan. And going back to what I mentioned earlier, low people is my first thing. I hire experienced people, and so I don't have guys that need a committee or consultant to get something done. I hire guys that have done it, and you can always buy management, never buy an idea. And I think I have the best management team in the whole dang country.
And Ricky, and then what is the URL real quick for the company?
Alkaline88.com or 888cbd.com. You can get both our websites that way.
Perfect. All right. Well, Ricky, with that, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. I wish you good luck. Stay safe. And I look forward to our next update.
All right. Thank you. Blessings, Robert. Be safe.
You too.